Hello, my name is Eric Von Connors. I was just a normal guy until the night I learned what I truly was. A half-breed. Half vampire and half angel. I had all their powers and none of their weaknesses. Save for one. The bloodlust.
Call me Sparx. I'm a collective, a being destined to fight for the positivity of all life. I can control lightning, and I became a vessel for Fukaku, the demon god of destruction, one of the leaders of the Lost Dimension, the House of Pure Negativity. When we learned that our entire lives were for the amusement of the creators of the universe, truth be told, we gathered our friends and enemies, and we killed them.
Also on that faithful night, I discovered the Order, a group dedicated to safeguarding the delicate equilibrium between good and evil. Get ready for a journey through the supernatural, where vampires, angels, and lycans coexist, each with their own struggle and triumphs. Come along with me, and together we'll embark on an adventure into the most epic tales that will defy even your expectations.
And in result, we were given their power. Multiversal, god-level power. But in result, we angered their race, the Lumalaya, who, in return of us killing two of their own, threatened every single life in all universes. Now, with my group, my brother, and Fukaku, we go about and build an army from all universes, keeping them safe at the same time, ready for the war to save the idea of life itself.
Welcome, my friends, to the Order.
We are the Mysteries. Within Order and Mystery. Chapter 3. The Mental Institution for Those Who Witness. Eric and Bella led Sparx, Leo, and Huntress to the outskirts of LA, way off in the distance, hidden from sight. "Well, this place is fantastic," Sparx said sarcastically.
Please, this place is a nightmare. The Order has been trying to sort this out for months.
Eric told them. "Wait, do they deal with the supernatural?" Leo asked.
No, this place is for those people who accidentally seen the supernatural. A vampire who decided to snack in a public place, like a subway, without checking. A werewolf who shifted, and it wasn't even night. An angel who spread their wings. A demon who shows their ugly head. It happens many times. Accidents happens. The humans, the mundane minds, see them and they freak out. It's unnatural. It's scary. It's freaky. Now, a lot of the time people just brush it off. They drunk too much, moving shadows, someone playing a prank. But other times people get obsessed. They sit and focus. And of course, there is no answer. They are deemed insane. So, they get put here.
Eric explained. They stood in front of the gate. "Huntress, stay outside. If I signal you, you shoot something," Sparx ordered. "On it, boss," Huntress nodded. Huntress then scaled a nearby tree. With fluid motion and exceptional ease, she then quickly jumped from tree to tree to fence to rooftop, leave the four remaining to hop over the tall fence. They walked up to the main entrance and the door opened. "And what does the Order think? Sending the Chosen One here?" The big muscle, pat, bald-headed guard snorted.
"We need to check your inmate log and security camera log. Seems like you're missing an inmate, and he's causing an issue,"
Eric told him sternly. The man looked each one of them up and down. He looked at Sparx's long red trench coat and Leo's blue jacket. "What is this, the bloody circus?" the guard asked with a slight chuckle. Sparx took a step up, looked at the guard directly in his eyes, and his eyes flared red. "You don't want to mock me or my older brother right now?" Sparx hissed. "Fine. You have 30 minutes, the guard growled. He opened the door and allowed the four of them to walk in. "Hey, remind me to invite Sparx to the clubs. He would come in handy next time Tasha and me want to get some drinks," Bella chuckled.
"Yeah, he is impressive, that's for sure,"
Eric replied. The four of them were led to the camera room, several monitors laid across the wall. Each one had a different angle for each section of the facility. Sparx sat down and started shifting through the old footage. His mind can pick up on details faster than normal eye, so he's able to crunch through more of the footage faster. "Okay, I haven't got anything yet, but... oh wait, I got something," Sparx said. He then clicked and clacked away at the keyboard, and the second monitor footage appeared that was dated 6 months prior. which showed the man Sparx had encountered in the Lost Dimension. He looked weaker, slimmer, slightly more pathetic. He sat there in the middle of his cell talking to himself, and then a portal opened, which led him to the Lost Dimension, and he stood there gasping at the sight before walking through it. Then the screen became nothing but static. Someone gave him access to the Lost Dimension. Leo sighed. Wait, how can you tell if that portal leads to your Lost Dimension? Bella asked. The Lost Dimension is made of pure negative energy. Every emotion that has a negative seed feeds the dimension. It's negativity in its own physical form. Leo can control Enai, pure energy. My wife can also control it, but she controls pink, which is fueled by love. Leo's is life itself, which allows him to see energy, all forms of it, all spectrums. The Lost Dimension literally just screams at him, Sparx explained. Bella looked at Leo, who just stood there with his eyes shimmering blue, and nodded at her. Wow, you guys are something else, Bella stated.
So, we know this guy left his place through other means. And now, we gotta find out who the hell he is.
Eric sighed. They turned around and realised the guard had left, and suddenly Sparx's mind rang as if a bell rang in his brain. Sparx, can you sense it? Fukaki roared in his head. Sparx gripped his head and winced as the ringing started hurting his brain. Yo, bro, are you good? Leo asked, gripping his brother's shoulder.
What's going on?
Eric asked. He's here, Sparx gasped. He turned back to the camera and clicked on the keyboard, and the monitor showed the man stood in the cafeteria. He looked directly at the camera and shook his head. Then he held up a vial of green and removed the cork. Green smoke seeped out of the bottle like a smoke bomb, and the green smoke attacked the inmates. They inhaled the smoke, and their eyes became strained, and their actions became animalistic. They started throwing themselves around, battering the guards, throwing chairs and tables of unknown strength. The man then grinned and opened a portal and walked through it, leaving the pure chaos that he had just started. Crap! We still need to find this guy's folder, Sparx growled.
Let's sort this out and find the folder as we go. I am sure between the four of us, we can do both.
Eric said with a hint of enthusiasm. The four of them left the camera room and entered a corridor. Their mates had filled the corridor, all of them growling, drooling, hissing, with beady eyes and animalistic stances.
Don't kill them! They're just normal humans after all,
Eric ordered. Got it, Bell nodded. Sounds good to me, Leo agreed. The four of them formed a circle, back to back. Both sides of the corridor were now packed with people. Let's dance, Sparx growled. They all bolted for the four of them. Leo kicked out and booted the first one in the chest, sending him flying back, colliding into the ones behind him, slowing them down. Bella grabbed a woman's wrist, kicking her in the stomach, and then pulled her across the floor, slamming her into a wall. Eric quickly jabbed one of them in the throat, causing him to stagger and choke. Then he slammed his fist into the man's stomach, winding him. He then threw his fist up, whacking the inmate in the face. The guy was thrown off his feet and slammed onto the floor. Sparx swung his foot out, kicking one in the stomach, and then swung it across and kicked another one. One inmate launched themselves up and grabbed onto the long light bulb that hung above them, and then let go, landing on top of Bella, shoving her to the ground. Sparx grabbed the inmate off of her and threw the person into the hold with ease. He then offered a hand out for Bella. She took it and was pulled to her feet. Thank you, Bella muttered. Yo, don't worry about it, Sparx nodded. Eric nodded at Bella, who nodded back, silently communicating that she was finding herself and fine to carry on the fight. Bella then ducked down, dodging the attack, and swooped her leg across the floor, tripping the inmate over. Leo jumped up and kicked an inmate several times. As he landed, he spun around and kicked the inmate one last time, which knocked him to his feet. This is taking far too long, Sparx roared.
If you have an idea, I'm open to hear it,
Eric snapped. Bro, do it, Sparx barked. Oh yeah, I gotcha, Leo replied. He jumped up as high as he could and held out his hand. A small ball of blue energy formed in his palm. He spun around and threw it at the crowd of inmates waiting their turn. Energy ocean! Leo roared. The ball hit the floor, then exploded. The blue energy pulsed, pushing everyone back, slamming into all the inmates on one side against the walls. Come on, this way, Leo called out as he landed on the ground. The four of them all bolted down the corridor and stepped through the door. As the door closed, Eric slammed his fist against the handle, breaking it, making sure they couldn't be followed. Leo, Bella, Sparx, and Eric all bolted down the corridor and entered the cafeteria. He was definitely here, Sparx muttered. More inmates jumped around the room. One of them ripped a table that was bolted to the floor with his bare hands and launched it at the four of them. Eric unsheathed his sword and sliced the table, cutting it in two, both pieces crashing beside the four of them. He then sheathed his sword as Sparx threw a bolt of lightning out, zapping the inmate, who landed on the ground unconscious. Nice teamwork, Sparx muttered. Both Sparx and Eric fist-bumped each other and smiled slightly, both rather impressed with how fluid they worked well together. Then Leo pointed at the wall, where there was directions to different wards and rooms. File room, second floor on the right, Leo barked. Let's get this moving, Bella replied. They ran through the cafeteria, occasionally punching or shoving the insane inmates out the way. As they ran and jumped over tables, they reached the double doors, ran through them, and entered the lobby. Sparx placed 2 fingers on the keyhole and zapped it with a small spark of electricity, frying the locking mechanism, making the door unable to open. Leo then bolted forward, leading the way, following the directions placed on the walls. They finally reached the door labelled File Room, and Leo and Bella barged in and started rummaging through the many folders. Eric and Sparx stood outside of the room and waited in case any of the inmates turned up.
That green stuff that's affecting the inmates, it wears off, right?
Eric asked. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just a rage-induced hallucinogen. It was made by witches. It'll wear off in a few hours, Sparx confirmed. Bella opened what she thought was one of the million files that stood in her way, and suddenly she saw the man's face. The man from the camera feed. Oh, I got it! Bella yelled out. Nice, let's get out of here, Leo replied. They walked out the file room and Bella smiled as she presented the file. Sparx took it off her and opened it. He saw the man's face in the picture and he closed the file. His eyes went white and the file blinked out of existence. Bella and Eric looked at him confused. Don't worry, it's safe, Sparx chuckled. Then one of the doors burst open and a large inmate walked out. His eyes all crazed, his fist clenched, now dripping with blood. I do not want to ask, Sparx muttered. Eric ran at the large man when suddenly an arrow shattered through the window and hit the opposing wall. The arrow lit up and emanated several flashes, flash-banging the large man. He carried on running towards Eric. He jumped up, kneed the man in the chin, and he landed on the stumbling giant and punched him in the face a couple times. As the man crashed to the ground, Eric rolled forward, securing his landing. He pulled out his pistol and shot the window several times, and the window pane shattered, raining shards. Another arrow hit the opposing wall. This time it was tethered to a wire. They all gathered around and one by one zip-lined over to Huntress, who was on a rather large tree. That is my girl, Sparx said as he hugged her. Always, man, I got you, Huntress said with a small smile. Everyone walked into Eric's place, where Van, Twilight and Rose sat. Van ran over and hugged his sister and fist-bumped Eric, whilst Rose kissed Sparx and hugged Leo and Huntress. You good? Sparx asked Twilight. Yeah, man, no worries, Twilight replied. They hugged and Eric walked into the kitchen and got everyone some water. Where are the werewolves? Sparx asked. Both sleeping. They are zonked, Van confirmed. Did you manage to get some information? Rose asked. We sure did, Sparx replied. As once before, his eyes turned white and the file reappeared in his hand, and he placed the file on the table as it opened. I give you a bye bata. He claims he saw a pack of werewolves kill his sister 8 weeks later. His sister's body was found more by wolves. He argued, he cried out, stating they kinda stood and hiding legs, could howl at the moon, big claws, the usual werewolf stuff, Sparx explained.
So, how did he end up in the Lost Dimension?
Eric asked. That is something I don't know, but we should figure out, Sparx nodded. Alright, bro, so what's the plan here? We need to figure out how and why he's in the Lost Dimension. But most importantly, he has Stealth-Gon, Leo said firmly. There is 2 things we need to know. How is he entering the Lost Dimension, and what is he doing with the lost creatures he's collecting? He had cages that he brought them here, so that's important too, Sparx stated.
We might have someone who knows about caged creatures, the whys, the wheres, the whos, and such.
Eric replied. No, seriously, not those jackasses, Van moaned.
Hey, they might be a little odd, and they do things a little against the book, but they've aided us before,
Eric replied. And we have someone who knows all things going in and out of the Lost Dimension, Sparx said to the mysteries. That we do, Leo sighed.
Right. Everyone get some rest. Let the mutts sleep as well. And then tomorrow we can split up and see what's going on.
Eric ordered. Everyone agreed, and they all got some rest.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by three cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Ty Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channels, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.